One of the questions has certainly been around ESKOM and where exactly the scenarios have been pointing towards. Well, if we take a look historically, we can certainly say that we've had plus minus 5 years of lies. Yesterday was exactly 5 years ago when President Cyril Ramaphosa was assigned by then President Jacob Zuma to head up or to chair and to oversee the turnaround of 3 state-owned companies, those being ESKOM, SAA and the South African Post Office. Very loosely, one would perhaps think that SA Post Office has perhaps turned the corner ever so slightly, even if it isn't, to where it was before now. ESKOM and SAA, the most recent sagas we faced as a nation. Minister in the presidency, Jeff Radebe, at the time, had said that he would closely monitor the implementation of those turnaround plans. Where that went, nobody knows. Radebe also said that ESKOM would harness co-generation opportunities through the extension of existing contracts with the private sector. Unfortunately, though, the private sector has become tired. It has become a question as to how much more pressure can we add onto ESKOM in order to help them any bit. They also, on the same day, that is yesterday, 5 years ago, accelerate the program of substituting diesel with gas to fire up the diesel power plants. Is that not a notion we had just yesterday, speaking from the COO's point of view, saying that we needed to find a way to switch up the diesel and gas scenario? ESKOM would present a detailed finance plan to manage its cash flow beyond 2015. That plan was put forward, but at the end of it, the minister in the presidency then, Jeff Radebe, had said government will finance the funding model. Of course, since then, we've continued to give ESKOM a plethora of money. Where has it gone? Well, into the dark. For now, however, then in 2014 as well, we also then got ESKOM's 5-point plan. And that plan included working with the private sector. A notion, if you think back just a few slides, was already implemented or said to have been implemented then too. Substitute diesel with gas. Wow, lo and behold, is that not part of the plan today? Replace old technology with new technology, a sentiment we've continued to bear on, considering that the likes of our power plants continue to be age-old. And now we've also decided to launch the Coal Independent Power Producers Program. My big question is, where has this gone? We decided to invest in 2 projects, particularly Tabamete and Kanyisa, which together were meant to give out 860 megawatts of power. But that project was cancelled because this was going to cost us 20 billion rand to fix. And it was indeed surplus to our needs as a country. Standard Bank, Nedbank and First Rand all decided to pull out of that coal IPP program, and now it pretty much sits dormant. And the 5th point of this point plan was to achieve all of this in 30 days. My, oh my. Back in 2014, that was not the case. If we continue with the saga, well, we've heard many promises. We've continued to hear just how urgently we need to deal with this. And having had 6 stages of load shedding for South Africa being felt, we also have had 6 occasions in the last year where President Cyril Ramaphosa named it an urgent state of affairs for ESKOM. The first one, SONA, February 2019. He said ESKOM has made much progress in implementing its 9-point plan. Of course, another plan was put in progress, ensuring better maintenance of its general fleet, reducing costs and ensuring adequate reserves of coal. Haven't we always been saying that we needed that? But here we sit, still with the same problem. The next one as well then, if you take a look, ESKOM's contribution to the health of our economy is too great for it to be allowed to fail. So it can't fail. It shouldn't fail. It's very urgent to fix it. Have we? Certainly not. And this was all just at the Cape Town mining indaba, also in February 2019. If we head off to the next one, well, here's the 3rd stage of urgency. We want to put ESKOM on a substantial operational path, and we have seen great improvements. We are closely engaged with the situation at ESKOM with the implementation of the 9-point plan, strengthening the board and setting out a roadmap for the future. The road to nowhere, by the seams of things. After that election earlier this year, should I say, we saw President Cyril Ramaphosa come out buoyantly with this mood. How far have we gone with regards to that? Well, The fourth stage brings us then to when South Africa was hit with load shedding earlier this year as well. We are addressing the ESKOM issue every single day. I'm saying to the whole nation, let's not panic. Let us join hands. Have you joined hands with us in trying to fix the scenario, Mr. President? Has ESKOM'S executives held hands in trying to ensure that they promote the importance and significance of ESKOM to our power needs? And then, of course, we had another one with regards to the stages of urgency. Our citizens deserve to be able to conduct their lives, go to school and operate their businesses confident that they will not be plunged into darkness without warning. So if we're unable to do all of these things, can we say you have perhaps not given us any sense of respect, Mr. President? This is just something you said this Monday in your newsletter to us. Here are all the quotes, right? So you've had this 9-point plan, and we'll continue to perhaps bring up what it is that you thought you could do in February 2019. Government approves a 9-point plan led then by Minister Pravin Gordhan in the public enterprises space. The sentiment was to fix Medupi, Kusile and Ngula. Of course, there were systematic problems, whether it be technical areas or it is with regards to architecture. So we said we'd do that. We'd address known design areas with regards to all of this. Improve planning, execution and effectiveness of the maintenance that we continue to try and complain about all the time. Reduce partial load losses by addressing major contributors. Make appointments in critical positions and train key staff. If anything, all we've seen are people perhaps leaving the state-owned parastatal. So what happens now? Where do we go to from here? You've said as well then, if you take a look at the next slide, that we're trying to prepare for increased open cycle gas turbine usage. That's a message you've shared with us since 2014. You've told us that gas was quite significant to this entire process, and that was still part of the process in February. Nothing has been done. Recover coal stockpiles, and look at that. Reduce the impact of rain. We live in South Africa. It's currently summer. Of course it's raining. How have we not planned for this over the last 12 years? How is this still something we're sitting with as an issue? Ask Enel, which is a company that is based in Italy, to perhaps send us 2 or 3 senior coal power station engineers to perhaps help in understanding this. Perhaps an answer with regards to that one does need to be shared with us. Have we perhaps gotten those engineers to come to South Africa? Mr. President, you said to us as well then, if we take a look at the next slide, that we will not have load shedding between December 17, next week Tuesday, and January 13 as well. That's 2020. Andre de Ruyter, CEO of ESKOM, who's recently been announced as that, starts his job on January the 15th. Does he have the assurance of the nation that he won't be plunged into the darkened state of ESKOM? You said on the 2nd of September 2015, when you were then Deputy President of South Africa. And one must add in this scenario, we perhaps attest to the fact that you perhaps didn't have all the power you needed when you were Deputy President. It was the years that we call the looting years of South Africa's state capture. It was a time where some have even said you were just a lame sitting duck. But despite all of that, you went out and said in another 18 months, from September 2015, that from 18 months to 2 years, you will forget the challenges that we had with relation to power and energy, and ESKOM ever happened. Mr. President, we have stage 2 load shedding today.